Hey, we're live. What is up? This is Mikey Wine, aka Gundamonium Works, and we're live again on this April 26th. Just working on the M1A1 Abrams tank, and got a little bit put together here. This is all going to come apart for painting, but the tracks are this nice rubber, and the wheels are actually put together with polycaps, so it's actually made to roll around. So yeah, and I've started doing some photo etch bending here. I'll talk about that in a bit. This is for the rear exhaust vent that goes over this piece here. So all these strips of metal here will go over this. Yeah, this is kind of trippy how this goes together. It just 4 little pins kind of hold these tracks, and they're one-piece rubber tracks. They go all the way around. They fit nicely, I think. A little bit of slack, which is pretty realistic compared to what you might see in real world. And yeah, you can actually roll this thing around if you wanted to. So I'm going to keep working on that. There's not a whole lot. I'm actually just bending photo etch right now, so I'm going to talk about that mostly. But then also, I am going to talk about this weekend coming up. This Saturday is IPMS Seattle Spring Show, and it's the first show we've been able to have out here in Washington in 3 years. So pretty excited for it because last year, 2021 or 2020, nothing happened then. 2021, again, nothing happened. 22 it was right when everything started to open up again, and we thought we might get an event. We might be able to put on a show, have a competition, but it's in April, and it was right when everything started to open up again. So they decided at the last minute to cancel it again. So, like I said, this year is the first year in 3 years that we're going to actually have a show. So the funny part about that is that I continued building, right, for the last 3 years. So I've got a ton of entries that I can actually put in here. Normally I would have maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 tops in a year's time. But now I've got 6. If I decide to bring them all, I've got 6 entries, and I'm going to show those off tonight. So that's why I set the camera up a little bit different. Camera's off to my left, kind of the upper angle. I can move it around if I need to. I can reach it from where I'm at, and I'll be bringing those out of the case and showing everybody one at a time. And most of them, if not all of them, you've already seen. I guess probably if you're watching my builds or watching any progress that I do, you've probably seen every single one of these. But it's been a few years since you've seen some of them because, again, they've been sitting on my shelf or in my cabinets, not being shown at any shows because there just wasn't anything going on around here. So, but yeah, these tracks are pretty cool. Getting back to this guy, each one of these wheels, like I said, is actually held in with a polycap inside, so the tracks do move independently. Of course, I'm not going to be running this thing around through my garden or anything anytime soon. So, but as far as just the base goes, it's pretty quick to get to this point. There's not a whole lot to do, but I can get the tracks back off fairly easily. And then, there might be some photo etch to go on here. I'm not sure. I have to look at the pieces I've got to see for sure. But there's quite a bit that's going to go on the top hull and the turret section. So this is the top piece. There's actually 2 polycaps inside in the front here that hold this on in the front, and then the back is held on with when this piece is put in place. Let's see, I'm going to kind of get it lined up here. So this sits right here, okay, just like so. So then the top piece will mount on like that. So it kind of suspends it, holds it up out. If you just plop it on here, it kind of sits too low. So you have to have this piece in the back first. But because I'm working on, hey John, because I've been working on the photo etch back here, I've left this piece off for now. There are some things that have to attach to it too, as far as like the kit parts. But what I've been doing is doing some of the bending, and I got to do some gluing because some of these pieces actually fold like together, so I have to glue them together. Gives it some kind of structure, a little bit of weight to it, but they're not glued together, so there's still a gap there when they're being held. So I can show that too, and then I'm going to maybe start doing some more of this photo etch. This is a piece of the photo etch that actually folds together and made kind of like a square bar stock, and this is the top support for the exhaust grill. And it's almost the same size as the actual piece in the instruction booklet, so it's kind of almost to scale when you're assembling it. It's easy to see. So yeah, like I said, and these were compound bends. You can kind of see they bend, several different directions, and then they have to fold together. So it's always good to have a photo etch bender if you're going to do this kind of stuff. And you can buy big elaborate ones, or you can get something small. Nothing, you don't need anything too fancy, especially for what I'm doing. I think a lot of the guys that maybe do the shipbuilding, they'll have a big one because you have a lot of complex curves and stuff with railings if you're building ships or battleships or something like that. But for what we do, whether it's Gundam, Star Wars, whatever it is, or even like the F-14 Tomcat, the Tamiya 148 F-14 that I built, that had a huge kit that I bought from Edward, and there was very little bending, if any, because most of it are just flat surfaces. So, but this is a little more complicated. But what I did is I went out and I bought this little guy. This is called the Bug, and it's just a basic photo etch bender. And I think it even came with the razor blade, but you can use it's a standard box cutter style razor blade, and you place your piece of photo etch in here, or you can go on the edges and bend from any position. And if you need this flat edge here, you can just loosen this up, rotate the bed to whichever side you need if you're doing that. I primarily use the large flat edge that's here, so that's why I mostly find it in this position. But that was how I was able to actually do these complex bends, because you got to go one direction and the other direction without interference. Put your piece under here, slide the blade underneath, and that allows you to control the amount of force and how much you're bending. If you want to bend it in a 90-degree angle, it lets you do that pretty easily with the razor blade. So, but I'm not sure if some of these pieces are just straight pieces, and then some of them I actually have to cut off of. I got to cut some of the actual molded pieces off to replace them with photo etch. Like these two little raised surfaces here, it's like a little bracket. Doesn't look like much on the kit part of it, but I'm going to fold a piece of photo etch and replace those with something nicer that looks a lot nicer. So we'll cut those off, and those are actually, you can kind of see them right in the middle here. These right here, those are those little brackets. They got a hole in them. The molded piece on the kit doesn't have a hole at all, so it's just kind of there. Unless you knew what you were looking at, you may not even know what that is. Who's messaging me? Tyler. So, yeah, and then once this is all done, these pieces will attach to the back, and there'll be another bracket that kind of attaches. So the whole grill, there's little slots in this edge. I don't know if you can see that little tiny edge right along that top edge there, right here. There's little slots, and each one of those is going to be for one strip of that grill. So it's going to be a pretty tedious little process to put this grill together. You got to really take your time on some of these some of the photo etch stuff, especially when there's a lot of pieces to make one. Because this whole thing, let me show you what I'm building, is this grill right here. So that's going to go over the original plastic piece on the kit, but this is all, each one of these fins is going to be photo etched. So it takes a little bit of time and patience, quite a bit. Just like when I did the F-14, I actually I built photo etch afterburners that are inside the thruster nozzles of that on that F-14. So you actually have to look down the nozzle tips to see the three-dimensional photo etch afterburners that are inside. It's pretty cool. I mean, I know they're there. It's pretty nice to, if somebody ever sees it. In fact, that's one of the kits I'm going to be taking Saturday. So hopefully, I don't know. I've never entered in the military categories or any kind of modern armor or aircraft categories, so I'm not sure how it's going to do. In fact, I'm not even sure how accurate this tank's going to be when I'm done, because I've got photo etch that's probably for different eras of the M1 Abrams, and maybe versus Army versus Marine versions. I don't know the difference. So I'm going to build it, and it's going to look cool, but I'm sure there's going to be some guy there that's going to point out all the discrepancies, I'm sure. But anyway, it is what it is. No big deal. So I don't care. I really don't. I mean, I could paint this thing to look like a futuristic paint scheme, and it wouldn't matter, because I'm not trying to win armor categories, especially when I don't know the history and I don't know how accurate it is when I'm done. The F-14, that one I can get away with, because all the pieces I bought were for an F-14A. So chances are everything that I put on that is pretty accurate. But it's just this tank. I've had a guy. There's a friend of mine here in Washington who is a ex-tanker. He actually worked on the Abrams tank, I believe, and he was pointing out some of the differences that I'd already, from some of the stuff that I purchased. Even the reference photo that I found online, he was telling me that's a Marine version versus the Army version. So there's different versions. I don't know how to tell them apart. I'm just going to build it, and it is what it is. I don't care if the rivet counters want to pick it apart or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just having fun, and it's going to look good. Whether it's accurate or not, it's going to look good. That's the important thing. So I may do some of this, some more photo etch bending, and kind of show you how that works. But I am going to show the entries that I'm taking to IPMS this Saturday. And like I was saying in the beginning of the video, it's been 3 years since we've had an event, so everybody's been building the entire time within that time. And so I've got a lot of entries, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people bringing a lot of entries, because they've all been waiting for this event for 3 years now. So I've got a total of 6 if I decide to bring them all. I just got to figure out how to pack them, especially one. One of them I know how to move one of them, and it's a big one, and I really just have to kind of put like a fluffy blanket in my back seat and just kind of lay it into it, because it's so big I can't even put it in a box or anything. And you'll see why, because when I show it, you're going to go, holy crap, it's huge. So, any questions? Anybody? Talk to me in the chat. Let me know what you want to know, and I'll see if I can answer it. This again is the 135 scale Tamiya M1A1 Abrams. It's an older kit. I know they have a newer version. I think Tamiya made a newer one. I don't know if it's an M1A2. It might be just a newer version of the A1, or maybe a different, like a Marine versus Army version. I don't know. I did see a different set of box art, so I'm not sure if they just rebranded it or if it's an entirely new kit. But I don't remember ever building an armor kit as a kid. So this might be the first as far as modern armor is concerned. I did a Warhammer tank for a friend of mine, and so that's considered armor, I guess, but not modern conventional, U.S. military stuff. So anyway, here's some more of the photo etch. This is really a pretty nice set. Edward is a very good manufacturer of photo etch. If you get the opportunity to find if something for a kit you're using and it's made by Edward, chances are it's going to be pretty good. There's some nice vents in here. This is the floor for the storage area. And actually the kit comes with a, where did I put that? I might have moved it out of the way temporarily. Oh no, here it is. I'm hanging it up. That's right. Okay, so the kit actually comes with a piece of netting that you have to cut out into this shape, but the photo etch is already cut. It's already there. So it's actually a nice replacement for that. And there's a lot of little buckles. There's even chains. There's a control panel. It's a clear piece of decal plastic that goes behind this control panel that's up by the turrets and the machine gun nest up on top of the tank. And then there's 2 of these sheets inside the kit and 1 of these. Yeah, I showed this off last week. Talked about it a little bit before we decided that I was going to actually build this one for the next project. So that's where we're at. Anyway, John's the only one chiming in the chat. How's it going, John? You still with me? I know John's looking forward. It's his first competition. He's looking forward to it. He's got a Impulse Destiny. Is that right? Am I not mistaken? Is that the one you're using? Destiny Impulse or something like that. And Master Grade. Looks really, really good. I'm sure it's going to show really well. Good. Yeah. Let me know if I was right on that. I think yes, sir. Well, yes, sir to what? I said lots of things. Destiny Impulse, something like that. I think that's what he's saying yes to. Anyway, I'm just trying to relax and chill out. It's been a pretty busy week. I know I have shared some of the things going on in my personal life with my mother passing away and then trying to sort all that stuff out. And then there's another annoying family dynamic that has reared its head, and I'm having to deal with that as well. So it's just been stressful. It's been hard to relax. And so this is a nice change to Destiny Impulse. Yeah, that's right. That's what he's using. So it's been a nice nice getaway to come out and do this live cast, talk to you guys, and show you what I'm doing, and maybe we can learn something together. So if getting back to the photo etch, if you don't have a bender, they do make you can buy, or you can even use a pair of like small needle nose pliers. The tricky part is getting nice, crisp, straight bends, and that's why it's nice to have something like this. Super stressful week on my side. Oh, hey, Nick. What's up, Nick? Just quick pop in. Oh, time to put the baby to sleep. Yeah, I know what that's like. I'm done raising kids. Good seeing you, Nick. All my kids are grown and moved out. I don't have to worry about babies going to sleep anymore unless they're grandkids. So John's talking about super stressful. Yeah, I said, oh, that's right. You're getting ready to move. I forgot all about that. So yeah, I can imagine what it must be like for that. I hate moving. Moving sucks. And you're moving out of state, which is going to make it even more interesting. It's one thing to move down the road or to another city or something. It's another thing to move to a different state. That's got to be. Well, I did it. I mean, we came up here from California, but we had movers. We just had them load everything on a truck, and they brought it all up here for us. It's not fun moving from state to state. So anyway, it's good to have a bender like this, something simple. Doesn't have to be too complex, but like I said, they make big ones with a ton of different sizes and shapes and things to help out. But most of the stuff that I'm using is all going to be straight bends. 90-degree bends. There's no 45-degree bends. Everything's either flat or 90-degree bend. So that makes it simpler. And so a simple tool works better. Hey, Ron, just trying to do my hazel by April. Are you gonna make it? You only got 2 days, brother. You don't have much time, man. You got to get that thing done. Are we gonna see you then? I was hoping we'd see some of you guys from Eastern Washington over here. I don't think James is making it. I'd be curious to see. I'd love to see you guys, at least one of you. I know we'll probably have Dark James. He'll be over there. I'm sure he'll be at the event. Some of the guys from Canada might actually come down too. I haven't talked to them, but they're pretty good about sending a representative down from the Van Plug group down in Vancouver area. Vancouver, BC, I should say. But anyway, what I've got here, this is all for the, you can see all the different slots. These are each individual slot for that grill. So I've got to take some of these pieces like this here, these little arrow, they're shaped almost like an arrow. I've got to fold those in half, and then the top has a leaf that each side comes off and lays flat. So it's one thing when you're doing this kind of work, you have to look at the instructions. It basically tells you what the piece is supposed to look like when you're done bending it, but it doesn't tell you how to get there, like what to do first. So because this is a large flat piece and then there's just two small, I'll probably bend. I'll probably bend the top part first. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I'm done. I'm going to do one of these first, but you got to do the magnifiers when I do this stuff because it's tiny. It also pays to have a really nice sharp razor blade to cut these out with. Now they do pretty good. Edward does pretty good about having little thin attachment points, so it doesn't take much to cut it, but still a nice sharp blade will help chip right through that without bending your piece at all. And then you won't have to fix it. And then it's also good to get yourself a set of diamond files, because the little burr that's on that, if there is a little burr left on the piece, you can easily kind of knock it down with a diamond file. So I'm just going to cut this out. There's just 4 little attachments here. What you do is you just kind of get your blade in position and then just kind of push down, and it should cut right through fairly quickly if you have a sharp blade. So if you're using a dull one, all it does is just move around and kind of distort your piece a little bit. If you want this stuff, I have to keep flat, so it's important to have a sharp blade to cut. Okay. Once it's free, I'm going to see if I can show you this. I'll just bring it over here. It's a little easier. Okay. So this is what I've got. It's going to be kind of hard to see. There, I'm trying to get the reflection right. So you can see the slots on either side of it. So this is actually going to fold in half long ways. And then these 2 little tabs on top have to fold down in opposite directions. So what we're going to do, let's see, I think it might, I don't know what's easier. I guess we're just going to we'll do the long straight bend first. So basically, you take your piece, you just want to loosen up your photo, the plate, so this will slide underneath it. You can line it up with the groove, that's the bend, the part where it's supposed to bend. And once you've got that centered well, gotta make sure I got it right. Okay. Almost there. You just take your time till you get it just right. Okay. Then you hold down, cinch down the plate. Now it's in position. Now I can take this razor blade and just slide it right underneath that piece of photo etch and start bringing it up. All this is going to do is just basically bend it into a 90-degree angle. Now I've got to actually go completely over flat with it. Whoops, I just dropped it. So look, right now I'm halfway there. So now I can take the rest of it and just keep going. Since I'm already, kind of I've got the bend halfway there. I can almost do this by hand, which is what I'm doing. I'm slowly, you know what? I think this is supposed to go the other direction, maybe. This isn't bending easily this direction. It's another thing, it doesn't really tell you which direction. There's a line there where it's supposed to bend, but it doesn't really give you a direction like which way you fold it. Do you fold away from the line? Do you fold against the line? I think I tried to fold it against the line, but it may not work. So I'm going to carefully flatten this back out. just so I can go the other direction here. Yeah, I think it's supposed to go away. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to put this back underneath my bender so I can straighten this out. It did get a little bent while I was trying to, but I can cinch this down and flatten it right back out again. Okay, perfect. Just loosen it up, tuck it all the way under, smash it down. Okay, now I've got a flat piece again. So I'm going to flip this over and actually bend it. Wow. So that is, okay. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go away from the bend and see if that works better. Or away from the groove. Once you get it lined up right at the bend point, cinch it down. Take my razor blade again underneath. There we go. Bend it up. Okay. Yeah, there's the groove. Yeah, that was way easier. That's what it should have done the first time, was just fold over really simple. What the problem was is I was going the wrong direction, so it was actually binding a little bit. But now that I've gone back the other direction, now it folded together perfectly, nice and flat. Now, I don't recommend doing that over and over again. If you make a mistake like that and you try to correct it, what happens with metal fatigue, when you start bending it back and forth, it'll eventually snap in half. So fortunately, because I only did it once and I stopped before it got too severe, I was able to correct it before it weakened it. So now I've got to do is take those two tabs on top. I'm just taking off a little burr here from where we cut it off with the runner with this diamond file. I'm going to take these two tabs on top, and they both have to open up opposite directions until they're flat. And I'm just using my tweezers to do that because it's small enough I don't have to worry about a super straight edge, because there's not a long piece that I'm trying to bend. So this might be kind of hard to see, but so let's see if I can get it to focus. There are two little tabs on top. You can kind of see it on top there that are folded up. And those are, get this out of the way. What I just basically did was this piece right here. There's two of them in the center, right here and here. Those two, that's what I did. I had to fold those tabs down so it kind of looks like an arrow with a flat edge on top. So we're going to do this 2 times. We got the other side to do. There's 2 of them to make. So that's 1. We'll set it aside and we'll cut out the second. What's up? Yes, he is back. This is my second week back, Julius. How you doing, man? It's going pretty good. It's still a lot of crap going on with the after my mother passed away, but we're moving forward. That's the whole point, right? You just keep going forward as best you can, and there, that piece is out. And do what you got to do. That's what happens. We're doing what we got to do. Sometimes it's a big pain in the ass, but it'll all work out well in the end, I think. So I'm going to repeat that with this second piece here. And I'm just taking those burrs off. The diamond files are nice for this because they're such a fine grit. It's not like a regular file that has grooves that can grab the photo etch and bend it when you don't want it to bend. there's one part in particular here. They're pretty big, almost like a nub from, plastic. When I cut it off, it left a pretty big chunk there. I was able to get some more of it off with my razor blade, but I'm still going to have to dress it up with the file. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It was a rough couple of months. I was gone for 8 weeks. I don't think I did a stream, though, for maybe 10 weeks total, because when I got back, the week I got back, I was just so exhausted that I just didn't want to do it. And then I think the week before I left, I was also so busy just trying to prepare that I didn't have time to. I didn't do a show then either, I think. So it was a long time, and I didn't know what to expect. So I couldn't really tell anybody what was going on, what time I was going to be back. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I could have been gone for 3 months for all I knew. At the time, I just flew out knowing that I had to get down there. But I think what we accomplished in 8 weeks is short of a miracle, really, because we did so much. We got so much done. I really have to thank my aunt. She was I don't even know the word to describe it. She was the reason we got so much done, because her and I made a really good team, and we just after a couple days of kind of just grieving or whatever, after a couple of days, it's like, all right, it's time to get to work now, and that's what we did. We just started. I'm putting this in there because I'm trying to flatten it out. Now that I've got it completely compressed, I kind of just use the plate to fully smash it flat. And then I got to take those two little, open those two little flaps again on the top and bottom, which is easy to do with the tweezers here, because you just grab one, and because there's a line, the photo etch has a line where it's supposed to bend, and it kind of helps you bend it, you know what I mean? Because there's a groove there. It makes it easy to bend exactly where it should. Now, the one piece I was showing earlier is this piece of like bar stock. It was a flat piece of photo etch that I had to fold into a square tube, and it had two little end caps that folded over to finish it off. But on one side of it, there's actually location points where these are supposed to go. Like that little square, the top of this has a little square with those two flaps folded over. They're going to glue right onto this spot. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier to fully assemble, as you know, because the distance has to be right for these fins to line up. That's going to be fun. I think it might be easier. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what's going to be easier, to be honest. I was thinking maybe put one on the top and bottom, one of these long strips, and then I'll know exactly where this goes, because this has to fit into each groove of each fin. But they're so close together. I don't know. It's going to be tricky. Photo etch is nice. It adds a lot of really nice detail that you don't normally get from the molded model, but it can be very challenging, especially with complex pieces like this to put together. So, all right. Let's see that one there. Let me see what's next, though. These have got to have. It's supposed to be flat. Okay. I got to glue these together too, because it's one giant piece that's folded in half on itself, and then it has, so you got to glue them together so they don't have a gap. But just trying to, I don't know. That's a tab. I think that's the end tab. Yeah, that's for this. There's even a tab on the end where these go, because the bar stock kind of fits right on top of this tab right there. And then you're supposed to take a piece of, instructions, it doesn't come in the photo etch, and that's what I was wondering about. But there's actually you're supposed to put a pin through this hole, and it's supposed to line up with one of the pieces that you have to cut off the molded portion and put another little bracket on there, and then they're supposed to line the hole's supposed to line up, and you're supposed to put a pin through it, because that's fun. I'm not even sure how I'm going to do that. I'm looking here. I don't see any little pins on any of these other parts. I think you just need like a piece of brass wire or something, or copper wire. It's not very big. Let me see if I can measure it. It might be around 1 millimeter at the most. But yeah, it's about 1 millimeter in diameter. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a millimeter. That's 30 seconds. That's inches. Let's see. Yeah, it's still pretty close to 1 millimeter. So I'm not even sure I have any wire that small or that big for that matter. I've got braided wire, but it's a lot thinner than 1 millimeter. I might have to see. Oh, I got this copper wire here. This is even smaller than 1 millimeter. I don't know. I have to figure stuff out. Maybe I have to go find some solid core copper wire and strip it down and see what size the actual copper wire is. Just taking some of these burrs off where this photo etch was attached to the runners. Just light pressure. It's more or less just kind of scratching the surface to wear it down, because if you get too aggressive, you'll end up bending your piece, and then you're trying to straighten it out, especially when you need it to stay flat. It's kind of tough to deal with when you accidentally bend it. Trust me, I know this from experience. When I did the STF1, the Macross STF1 1/4000 scale, that had photo etch all over it, and I was using fiber optics too, so I had all that to contend with at the same time. And it was stuff was just getting bent out of shape. Anytime you move it around, and when you're building, you're doing that in the middle of the process. Yeah, it was not fun. All right. So let's see here. Got a couple tiny pieces that go on. Just they're glued to the surface of these. They don't really do any structural. They're not for structural. They're just for detail. So a couple of pieces that go, little tiny pieces that go here, and then there's a couple of circles that go on each end. Now this says here, because I guess when you take this piece, this is the piece off the kit. I have to cut these off, these little tabs here, because those are going to be replaced by photo etch. That's what I was talking about with the little hole in it, because that's where the pin's supposed to go through. But then there's 4 other pieces of photo etch, but it says used for Dragon Kit only. So I think we're supposed to use the original plastic piece. There's a big kind of a tab that goes in here, and I think it doesn't show us using. Yeah, that is weird though, because it shows another. It almost looks like a different, because they even show 2 more those tabs here, and they're not on this. I'll have to think about this for a sec, make sure I can attach this properly. But in the meantime, I think there's 2 more pieces. I'll look at the actual instructions, and you got to compare the 2, because what this shows you what the original piece number is supposed to be and what it looks like with the photo etch. So you got to reference back and forth between the original instructions and the photo etch instruction to make sure you're doing it right. It's probably sounding more complicated than it is, but it's still, it creates a new challenge. You know, makes it for me it's fun. I like doing photo etch. I like what it does to the kit. I like the added detail, especially when you finally prime everything and it's all the same color, and you're just like, wow, it looks awesome. Okay, so here shows it going on, but then here there are, and it's upside down, so it's actually looking at it this way. Yeah, there's two tabs that go in on each side of this, and then there's even one on the bottom. And this, according to this, it doesn't look like those are added or removed. Yeah, just almost looks like those are there, and I think that's what they look like here. I don't know. I'm hesitant to glue them in because if I got to take them back off, then I'll really be in trouble. And there's also an auxiliary power unit for this kit that's made to go on the one side of this back section, and I'm not even sure I can use that with this because this hooks on right next to where that's supposed to go on. So I don't know, but the photo etch has photo etch for that unit. So again, it's probably going to get used. I just have to sort through it and figure it out. When we get up to about an hour or so, I'm going to start showing off the kits I'm taking to IPMS. So some are small. Big John's helping me out with a power supply, hopefully for the Iwata research colonizer. I'm going to take that, but I was having trouble finding something to light it up because it powers through a USB cord, and I have an old jumper box, a little compact jumper, but I bought it years ago, and it works good for charging phones. But for some reason, I hit the button and turn it on when I plug in the USB for that model kit, and it just lights up for a second, and then it just goes off. And I don't know, maybe it's just not enough of a draw that the jumper is not detecting anything there, so it just shuts off. So John's going to bring something for me to try, and I'm going to bring a cord just in case, and hopefully if I do need to use a power cord, like a regular just power cord with a phone charger adapter, hopefully there's an outlet somewhere close by that I can tap into. But if not, I guess it's going to sit there on the table without lights. I don't know. It'll be kind of boring because the lights really make that thing pop. But do what we got to do, right? So how's everybody doing? Nobody's talking. Everybody's just listening to me. Just jabber. Just working on photo etch. Anybody just popped in? I'm doing photo etch for the exhaust grill of this Tamiya 135 M1A1 Abrams. Putting together some of the individual pieces for it, and then I got to try to assemble it all, which is going to be fun. Long day. Yeah. I don't know. My day went pretty fast. I had quite a bit of work, so it was good. And it wasn't too terribly difficult, so I was smashing through it. Plus, I work hourly now, so I come in at 7, I punch out at 3:30, and I go home. And we are still one of the busiest Subaru shops, I should say, in all of Seattle area, Washington, Seattle stores. So, yeah. So that goes, gosh. That goes right over. Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to have to figure out. I think what I got to do is assemble this first and see how it fits on here. Then I got to see how that power unit, because this little box goes on the side of it, but there's also photo etch for it too. So there's some batteries in there, and there's some other little pieces that have to go on that. So I'm going to have to sort it as I go. It's just really well molded. I like it. Maybe I don't know if I have to paint this first before I put that on, because it's going to be impossible to try to panel line this with this big grill on there. So I may have to paint it first and then, or paint this as separate and then stick it on afterward. That might be what I'm doing. Okay, what's going on? My phone's blowing up. No, don't need that. No. Yeah, don't need that. 1 second here. While what's going on? Are they in they're in the third. Ooh, Boston's got the game tied 3-3 with just a minute 45 left in the third. Wow. That's crazy. All right, I'm going to see what these look like. So B13, B12, and 13. Let me pop these off. So I got my B12 and 13. There we go. These two. Right. Just to see. So, John, you get your kit all packed up and ready to go? Are you waiting? I'm gonna have to do that tomorrow. I have to sit down and figure out. I got Friday too, but I don't want to wait till the last minute. But I got to sit down and figure out how I'm going to transport all these kits to Renton when we go. Just taking a little bit more off. There we go. Okay. Whiny wine? What's that supposed to mean, Ronan? You talking shit? I wouldn't expect any different. All right, so this goes this way. This goes in here. All packed and ready. Yep. Good man. Now you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so this piece, that looks like that's the way it goes. So I referenced the photo etch. Let's go this way. Okay. Yeah, okay. So these do get added. All right. I can see it in the drawing now. So the only time we would cut these off, or no, and actually we don't even cut them off. I think it's just added if you're using the Dragon kit. If you have the Dragon kit, you have to add those tabs. So otherwise, the factory plastic ones here go right in place. So, all right. Well, I can go ahead and glue those in, and that will be fine. It looks like both of them. Yeah, both of them are there. There's a bigger tab on top and then a smaller one on the bottom. There's two more pieces that got to go. 14 and ooh, that one's different. 15. Okay. Yeah. Just means I love you. Yeah, I love you too, Ronan. We haven't seen you in a while. Maybe I saw you last week. I don't know. I can never remember week to week anymore. My life's been so flipped around this last couple months that it's hard to keep track of what day it is. Okay, so one of these is flat. That's why. Both of them are flat on that side. So I need a 15 and a 14. I'll pull this back down. Okay, so there's 14 and 15. Cut those off. Sand them real quick. All right. For those that may not know, if you're wondering what I'm doing with the runners, I have a pegboard here. These are 16-inch pieces that you can buy at Home Depot. And they lock together and they're already offset, so you don't have to worry about backing them with anything. They just screw straight into the wall. I bought some screws that were like aggressive drywall screws that are made to grab just drywall, not actually go into a stud necessarily. And you can see the larger holes like here. That's where the screw holes are. Yeah, you just click them together or figure out where your first one goes, pop it on there, and then just link all the other ones together. So that's what I do. I put all the runners on the wall in front of me, and then I can work just by, it's easy just to reach up and grab. I don't have to worry about runners on the, in front of me or a big pile of them on the bench. Just makes it easier. It kind of creates more space for me to make a mess, because I'm going to make a big enough mess without all those runners everywhere, let alone that. And it's worked out good for me, so I continue doing it. Years ago I bought a couple of them, and then I just bought a couple more, and then pretty soon I end up with a section that's 32 inches by 30 46 or something like that. 46 by 32 50. I don't know. That's math, and I don't feel like doing math right now. So. I love your hell. You love your hell pile? Is that what you call it? Is that the pile of runners? No, I like to try to stay organized. I mean, like I said, I make a big enough mess. By the time I'm done with a kit, there's stuff everywhere, and I have to go through and clean again when I'm done building it. But it's nice to have the runners up off the ground. I call it ground. Runners up off the bench, and I've got them all in order, of course, so I know, like, if I'm looking for A, B, C, whatever, you've got them. They're easy to find. Works for me, so that's why I do it. So, all right. I'm going to take some of this magnifying off. Now, for those of you interested who haven't heard, I'm going to talk about these again. These are bought these from Micromark. They're adjustable magnifiers. And inside here, they've got these little knobs right here and here. You turn these, and the lenses move in and out, and they actually go from 0.5 magnification to 4 times magnification. So it's nice. You can dial them in, and when you need to see and when you don't, you can dial them back out when you're. So this has got to go. So when I'm doing like the really difficult photo etch stuff and I need to get really close, and then I can zoom in. But then when I'm done and I'm doing something like this, all I've got to do is just see the parts that I'm working on and glue something. I can dial them back out. Meanwhile, I'm struggling with this fucking piece because it won't stick. I'm just going to glue this first. Let me get some of my glue out here. All right. Hopefully, I'm thinking all the way up. That seems to be, the slot is slightly bigger than the piece, so it can move up or down. But I'm thinking it looks like all the way up is the best fit. It fits nice and snug. Also opens up that hole for that piece of photo etch that has to go on next. So now, oh yeah, there we go. Almost thought I did that backwards for a second. Oops, that's upside down. Yeah, there we go. Sounds like the high school's got a football game going. I can hear them cheering away outside my window. It's been such a nice day. I was able to open up the windows today and get some fresh air. see, there we go. Okay. Hopefully my photo etch will line up the way it's supposed to when I'm ready to attach it. All right. Okay, now time for these little tiny pieces here. Hit it with a touch of glue. Hold it in place. Okay. This does not fit exactly. It's loose, so I'm going to try making sure it's in the right position. There, that looks good. There. All right. Other side. This is the little flat one. So I'm just going to place this, kind of do the same that I did with this one. I'll put a touch of glue in the back here. That'll keep that piece, from moving around while I position it here. There we go. All right, we'll let that dry. That's also going to help line up the photo etch when I get there. Okay, so we're almost up to an hour here. I guess we want to start seeing what I'm taking IPMS. Right. Okay, so let me clear off my work area here enough so that I can bring some kits out. So for something that I entered a while ago, it was a Star Wars. It was actually put on by Bandai, and it was a Star Wars model competition, and it was during the pandemic, so it was all done online. And I found out about the competition probably maybe 3 days before, and I because I'd already finished this kit, I really wasn't planning on entering it in that. Somebody says, "Hey, are you going to enter this in the Star Wars comp?" And I was like, well, okay. So I went ahead and did it, and well, I ended up winning. And I got one more. Oh no, I got that one. So, but I haven't been. Again, we were all shut down here, and I haven't been able to enter it here. So you may have. I know some of you have seen this before. So, but first and foremost, let me go grab it. I'll bring it right out, and we'll show it off here for a second. So, first one. First one going to IPMS is Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 8. Don't Punch the Baby. That's what I'm calling it. It's because, this is the episode where these two scout troopers are standing around with baby Grogu. They don't know what to freaking do with him, and they end up, I'm going to stop hitting the table there. There we go. So anyway, I will bring this a little closer, but so here's my first one that's going to go on Saturday. Two scout trooper kits that I painted in the scheme that was on the actual Mandalorian show, weathered to match, using screenshots from the show, the baby, the little Grogu head was 3D printed from a friend of mine. And I actually made the bag out of thermoplastic sheet. The satchel that he's in, I handmade or scratch made, built that out of thermoplastic sheet. And I also made the body of Grogu out of Sculpey putty. And then I fired that in my toaster oven and carved that and did all that. So yeah, it was a pretty fun little thing to scratch built that little thing, because at the time we didn't have figure kits in this scale for the little baby, so we had to find a file online and 3D print it, and it worked out good. I actually had two sizes, but this one's technically slightly larger than 112 according to the file, but it seems to work better as far as the size of it and the kit. So thanks, buddy. Thanks, Julius. I appreciate it. So anyway, that's the first one. That's first kit going to IPMS on Saturday. And this one's pretty easy to transport. It's flat. It's sturdy, so I might not even have to put this in a box. Plus, here's another thing, and John, you're going to love this. Big John, is the weather for this weekend is supposed to be just amazing. And it'll be the first time I've gone to this event and not gotten rained on, trying to bring my model kits in from the car. Can you imagine trying to bring something like this in while it's just pouring down rain? You know, it's never fun. Most of the time I can put stuff in boxes and get away with it. You know, these plastic crates or something like that, but I don't have a ton of those. So I'm going to have to carry some of these in, and probably in like a cardboard box or something. And I'm just thinking, man, this is going to suck. But the weather is supposed to be just awesome. So I think we're in good shape. Uh-oh. I'll have to take a look at that. I've got a fin that's kind of loose. I just bumped this little rudder. It's okay. It's not going anywhere, but I definitely don't want to hit it again. So, any thoughts? What do you think? Star Wars is going to have. I don't think I have another Star Wars entry. So yeah, this will be my only Star Wars entry for this year. Last time I think I entered my my AT-AT with the 1/44 scale. Oh wait, did somebody win here? Let's see. Is the game over? What are we waiting for? There it is. Boston wins. I think Boston just wiped out the Florida Panthers, it looks like. Oh no, that's the tying goal there. They're going to overtime. That's what they're showing. Okay. They haven't won yet. So, but last year, or the last time I entered a Star Wars kit, it was my 1/44 scale AT-AT with the little tiny snow speeder, simple little vignette, and that one did very well. I ended up winning first place in the Star Wars category. So, I'm going to put this one back, and we'll grab the next one. Oh, let's see. What about the Millennium Falcon build? Oh, are you talking about the Lando Calrissian version, Julius? Because if you are, that was a commission, and I no longer have possession of it. Although I could probably get it for sake of entering it, but I'd have to go talk to the guy that owns it and get it back. Yeah, that would be a good one too. But like I said, I don't have it anymore. That one was given to its owner. So next up, let's see. We're going to start with something relatively easy or small, not really small, but easy to get out of the cabinet. So, coming in the Gundam category, this will be my 1/100 Hainu version Ka. Take the camera and bring it up here a little bit. There we go. So this will be going into Gundam category. The only one that I have. I've got to do a little bit of touch up here on the paint. That'll be easy for this is all plaster, so moving it around is kind of chipped off a little edge here and there, and there's a little bit of white, which I can probably do literally while we're sitting here. This will be easy. I'll just grab a little bit of this dark earth and touch it up real quick. The one with the detailed interior. Yeah, that was the Lando Calrissian version, or from Solo, the movie Solo. And that was a commission. Yeah, so I don't have that one anymore. And at the time we were thinking, oh, they're gonna have they're gonna give it to me for competition or whatever and let me use it. But then we got delayed again for another year, and it just at this point it just got to the point where, you know what, it's just not going to happen, I guess. So yeah, I don't have that one anymore. I could probably call the guy up and see if he'd be willing to let me borrow it, but no big deal. I'm not going to sweat it, really. I'm just adding a little bit of some brown paint here to touch up these little white tips that from some little bits that got knocked off during, moving it around, taking it in and out of the case. If I can do this right, I'm going to try to transport all these in as, where they're not, I don't need to assemble them. I really don't want to have to try to build these on site. It's never fun. I mean, some of the stuff is easy to take apart and it's not bad. It's, you can do it, but I don't want to have to try to do that. No. Wow, somebody's scoring or something at the high school. I can hear the crowd screaming. So anyway, this is number 2. Is there different classes for 1/100 Gundams, like beginners, intermediate, and advanced? Yes, there is. Now, whether or not they're going to let you enter in beginner, I'm not sure if they have an intermediate. They do have a beginner. Typically, that's for kids, I think, or smaller kids. But when we get there, we can figure that part out. That's a good question. You might be able to get, there might be something like that. But I'm telling you, they're probably going to take one look at your build and go, you're not a beginner. Even though it is only, your first comp. That's like when I went and entered SCGMC for the first time. I was asking Dan Salas, I was like, hey, look at these. Where do you think I should enter? And he's like, well, you've got panel lines on those, then you're in advanced. It's not beginner anymore. So I didn't really have much of a choice. I kind of had to go where they asked me to go. Oh man, some more pieces are falling off of this. I got a big chunk that fell out. I gotta paint this real quick. I'm gonna use a bigger brush. First comp, second build. So yeah, we could probably you probably got a fair argument there and say, hey, I know I'm in my 30s, but my second Gundam. Can I put it in beginners? There may not be an issue at all with that. Fixing some of this, a big piece of this some of this plaster came off on the back here, so I'm just touching it up with some paint. Well, first comes to me. Usually, what happens is, and I'm pretty sure this is probably going to happen tomorrow, and it's only because it's been 3 years, and everybody out here is going to be bringing a lot of kits. Anybody that's entering there's going to be a lot of kits on the table. So, and I'm hoping the organizers have thought about that, because they're going to have a lot of tables. So what's going to happen is they'll probably split up categories into several sections, and they'll have multiple winners, or multiple places because there's just so many entries. So let me take this one out. So that is the 1/100 Hainu version Ka with heavy weapons system. And I'm going to try to get this to lift up here. There we go. I got to get my hand underneath it so I can put it back in the case, and I'll bring out the next one. Slowly but surely. You back in there. Okay. Now let's go for something a little different. So I mentioned this before, and I'll bring it out now. Next up going in is my Tamiya 148 F14. So just for the time being, I'm going to actually take off the canopy. It's not broken or anything. That's exactly the way the kit assembles. There's a little tiny push rod that you install if you want to have it open. The photo etch set that came with it, I bought the Big Ed set, and it's a huge complete set of photo etch. Every single piece, every single vent, every single piece of the gauges, the cockpit, it's all photo etch. There's also a piece of photo etch that goes around the front of the glass that doesn't open. And the problem with that is when you add that piece on there, it makes it too thick. So if you tried to close the canopy, it won't close because now there's an extra thickness there. So anyway, this is my F14 with the Jolly Roger, one of my favorites. It reminds me of Macross, so that's why I did it. There shouldn't be anything else that will fall off of this. I'll show the underside with all of the armaments. Got a bunch of Maverick missiles, sidewinders. It's also weathered to look very realistic. The vents, like in the side of the nose cone, see that little vent there under you can actually see through that. That's all photo etch, and there's a vent that you can see right straight through it. Yeah, it was fun. And I gotta say, if you ever want to build a modern aircraft kit, buy this one. The F-14 at 148 scale F-14A by Tamiya. It has to be the best kit they've ever built, and by far, the fit is so perfect. You'll never have a fit issue with this thing. You could shake the box, and it would fall together. So then the slot goes right in here. There's like a little slot in the back, and then you just line up that little piston right there, and that's how the canopy sits. Just like that. Now, I wish I could show you the afterburners. I don't even think I'll be able to see them, because if you look down the thrust nozzle, you can see the photo etch afterburners in there, and it was like a three-dimensional. There was like 4 or 5 layers I had to build up with these rings and little supports that make the afterburner, and all that's in there, and it's all down inside. And I thought at one point I was going to make an aircraft carrier type diorama or something. I was going to have a crew member back there looking, with a light or something. I was going to try to have him shining a light so that would kind of draw somebody's attention to look down there and actually see that. But anyway, we'll see. So let's put this one back. That's 3. All right. Let's go back in the case. Oh, Florida just won in overtime. There you go. So they're going back to Florida now. All right. So this goes back in. What's next? Oh, okay. Yes. Another small one here. This is the one that John's going to help me with. And this is the Iwata Advanced Research Colonizer. So it comes with a cable. If you buy the special edition, it comes with this. I don't know if the regular one comes with it. I know they all come with a light kit, I think, but the special edition comes with the cable. It didn't come with this. I just used the phone charger in with the standard USB and did that, but it comes with a cable. It's got a little switch on the side. switches here, and you got cable comes out over here. But it's really cool. Lights out. It's got some windows and stuff. Lights up. So I'm hoping that power supply that he's bringing is going to work out well. But yeah, this was a fun little build. This is my nice cool off build. Yeah, and I put the special edition parts on, which says Iwata HPCS on the side. Both sides have similar pieces like that, but the whole thing lights up. Actually, I can do that while we're here because I have a cord, so I can light this thing up for anybody that might not have seen it yet. I'll just plug it in. I've got my extension cord on the ground here, so give me 2 secs and I will set it up. What is going on here? I have a cord going through a cord. Wow. Okay. That goes there. That goes there. All right. Now, take this, plug this in here. Okay. 1 second. Come on. There we go. Oh. Yeah, the switch was on already. Okay, so take this, turn the lights out. There. Now you can see. All right, so there's blue, there's amber, there's like this pinkish color LEDs inside. There's even some in the back. The main engine there. There's blue up here in the what would be the paint cup. And there's blue back here by the engine. And some of those pieces like this you can actually click this in and out. You can shut that if you want. You can also do the same over here, but why would you want to not see all these lights? So yeah. So anyway, that's that. I'll turn this light back on. Unplug it. Oops. Okay. Set that down. Unplug this. But yeah, that's assembled that way. It's not come apart. It's on the stand. The stand even has lights around the base, which is kind of neat. So, looks like Florida just won in overtime. So Boston, got to go back to Boston now. Oh, now we got the other game. Seattle is playing Colorado tonight, game 5. They're also tied 2-2. So let me roll this back up, and then we will see the next one. Anybody got any questions, comments, anything on what I'm taking? Other than John, I think John's asking about different levels of, because he's worried that my Hainu is gonna beat him, I think. He'll probably tackle me in the parking lot and make sure I don't bring it or something. Make sure I don't bring it in. Hang on, let me put this one back. We'll get the next one. Okay. So, let's see. That's that. Oh, shit. It's going to close. I'm done with that case. So the next one is 1 second here while I bring out the base. So there's the base. All right. This takes a little bit of setup time here. 1 second. Okay. Let me just plop all these guys down on the ground. All right. Okay. So the next one is my hanger diorama. And this takes a little bit of time to set up, so I'm going to do this real quick here. I have to put the armament, the guy with the armament in first, just because he's underneath, and then this slides right in like so. It goes right there like that. Like that. Okay. And this goes in on the floor here. That powers up the Valkyrie from the floor. Now let me get the back wall. This takes a little bit of setup time too. Trip you on the way in and make them force you to judge. You know they're going to ask me to. I mean, the problem is that if I do judge, that all that means is I can't judge the category I'm in. It doesn't mean I can't enter. You're going to have to stop me. So I have a little bit of touch up to do on this too. Anyway, let's get the back wall. The back wall takes a little bit of time here. I've got to bring this through the bottom. And then it goes straight down like so. Okay. One second here while I get this lined up. Okay, there. Almost there. I'm trying to work around the photo etch that's over there too, so you can't see this corner. That's there. I just need to push down. There we go. Okay, so it's on. And then I'll take this and hook up the wiring back here. Two pins. I should have power. Now let me check with my battery here. Yep. Okay. Yep. Everything's lit. All right. So you spin this around so I can put the other guys on here. And I do have to touch up where I've been handling it. My paint has I just used black spray paint and kind of just blasted this whole back half. It was a pretty thin coat. So what I've got left is, just like from me handling it, it's rubbed off a little bit. So, okay, so we got supervisor in here. He's standing around getting paid. We got a guy in the avionics bay here. I'm going to put him in the ground. And he's touching there. All right, and then we got the refueler. He's monitoring this. And then we have the pilot. Okay, so pilot goes in just like that. All right, and then, and I also have a ladder that's got to go over here, but I will install that later. I don't want to do it now. So then this guy, he's right over here. Okay, so that's that. Now let me turn this light off again, and we will hook up the power supply so we can all see lights. There we go. So this is my favorite. I'm hoping this one does well. I gotta fix all of them actually, but I gotta glue the micro missile pods. I gotta glue those on. Those are just on there. That's why one of them's off, because it's in the case still. I'll flip this guy over on its back and glue them in place, since they're not going anywhere. But so yeah, there we go. There's the hangar. All the players in place. And again, I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to transport this thing? I may just do it just like this and try to just lay it. It's already assembled. It'd be easier than trying to build it there or pack it up in pieces, I can lay it in the back of my, or put it in the back of my car, and it'll be flat and it won't go anywhere. So it may work. The cockpit's also lit up, which is cool. You can't see it. You can kind of see the glow in the camera. But yeah, the cockpit, the console's lit up. The avionics are lit up. And that's that. So now time for the last one. I may just end up leaving this together for now until I got to take it apart, and then I can touch up the edges of this. But for the time being, I'm just going to leave it together so I don't have to make any changes to it. So let me just get this out of the way as I carefully lift this up. All right. Yeah, we good? Okay. I'll take this, move it over here. What do I take out of here? Oh, the base. Yeah. Just leave it. 1 second. Be right back. Okay. So, ready for the last one? This one's going to take a lot of space. But I think you all know what's coming. Last but not least, the beast. So here we go. I got to turn the camera up for this. Last but not least, the beast. And this also runs on a single 9-volt battery, which I had. Where did I move it to? I had it. Can I just move it somewhere? What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Where I left it. So we will turn our lights out one last time. Oop, and everybody can see this. I gotta lift this up slightly because I get my cable out here. I'm just gonna pull the cable out, and then I'll just leave the battery sitting out. It's no big deal. I'll tuck it under when I'm at the show. So there you go. Cockpit's got fiber optics, all the running lights, thrusters back here. Can't even see that on the wall. You see the blue on the wall. That's from these guys back here. The feet, there's 15 LEDs in each foot. There, the gun pod lights up. The Super Strike turret also has its camera system lit up. The wingtips light up blue and red. Yeah, see? And then the cockpit. So if you want, I can try to take off the camera here and we can take a look at the cockpit. So give me 1 sec while I dissect my camera. Take it off its stand. All right, so I'm going to bring this around so everybody can kind of see. There we go. Come on, focus. Jesus. So there's the cockpit and all the fiber optics in it. And we got thruster bells all lit up. Yeah. So there you have it. That's what I'm taking to IPMS Spring Show on Saturday. Let me get the camera back in here. Okay. Plug the lights. There we go. That back on. Yeah. So that's it. Bring in the big boy. Since I was not able to enter it out here, Now I have the opportunity, so that's what I'm going to do. So let me put this one back. This is a little bit tricky to handle because I got to hold the base up so the wires don't get stretched out. They go down through the bottom of it. Oh, okay, here we go. Get up there. Okay. In place. There we go. All right. So that's it, boys and girls. What do you think? Any questions? Any comments? Come on. Somebody's got to say something. Not just be the other guy here sitting here drinking beer. I got a hole in my lip now, too, apparently. So that's what we're taking. If I take it all, I got to figure. Oh, I'm also going to take this, too, because this shows one of the things Big John was asking me was, you know, how does the competition work? Like, how do they, when you fill out a card, you put on, you know, you get a description of what you did. So if you did modifications or something like that, you can point things out that for the judges to see, so they can, you know what you did, and if you did do modifications, how, you know, how extensive they are. So I'm bringing this because this was the other half of this goes in place if you make it a Super Valkyrie and you just have just the two regular boosters with the micro missiles here. You would have one of these on the other side instead of the gun. So that's why I have an extra. But what I did is I can use this to show that I actually cut these doors out, and I cut a scratch-built launch tubes inside and with missiles. So my version looks more true to the anime, because to the life of me, I can never figure out why Max Factory made these with the door shut, because you never see that in any of the animations. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I've not seen any of the, you know, the original illustrations or anything that shows these with doors on them. I think it was he was just being lazy. And rather than, you know, actually make the kit like it should be, he just would, we'll just put doors there and make it look like they open. Well, I cut that shit out because I wanted to make it look like it should. So that's what I did. So I'm going to take this as a representation to say this is what it was, and now you get to see what I did to it. So we'll see how everything goes. I think the hanger diorama is going to go in dioramas. Obviously, this big kit's going to be in sci-fi. So at least I won't be competing against myself in that respect, because they're both Macross, but one of them's a diorama, so that's going to be in an entirely separate category. I mean, I probably could get away with putting it into sci-fi just with everything sci-fi, but because there's so many figures on it, it makes sense to put it in dioramas and see how it does. Because it's a good diorama, I think it should do well. And maybe they even have a sci-fi diorama category. I don't know. They may split things up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, John. So many great builds, I hope. Well, thanks, Julian. I appreciate that. No, there's going to be plenty to go around. Trust me. These guys do a pretty good job of making sure that, you know, and even if you don't place like first, second, third, they do a lot of honorable mentions. They do a lot of ribbons for well done builds that, you know, you'll be able to get awarded for something, even if you don't place in that specific category. There's always something being placed on the table that, you know, that says, oh, hey, you know, we're they're recognizing, you know, the skill involved and stuff like that. So cool deal. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep working on this in my downtime, but I think the next day or so it's just going to be me figuring out how I'm going to transport. Like tomorrow, I'm just going to try to figure out how to transport everything. Most of the stuff, you know, I thought I might have to pack up that Valkyrie in pieces, but the more and more I look at it, I think it would be easier just to leave it as a nice flat base and just set it in the car. I think it'll be fine in the back. It's not going to slide around. The space back there is carpet anyway, so carpeted, so it should be nice and stable. The big Valkyrie will sit in the back seat. The last time I took it anywhere assembled like that, I actually just put a big almost like a pillow, a fluffy pillow, and I kind of leaned it back and laid it on its back in there, and that worked out good because I can actually take that thing apart. I did make it to be modular, so I could fly with it. When I took it to California, I had to take the thing completely apart in pieces and then assemble it. So I built it that way on purpose, but it's not fun. I don't want to take it back apart. I'd rather just leave it together. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Just take it in one piece, especially if the weather is going to cooperate. We can just go to the car, make several trips, whatever you got to do. But it's nice to be able to walk in. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for the good wishes. It's going to be able to walk in and not have to worry about getting rained on and another dynamic to the whole thing. I'll just be able to walk in with what I got in hand and go from there. So anyway, with that, I think I'm going to check out. It was nice seeing. Thanks for everybody for stopping by. Next week we'll see where we're at. We'll do a recap of the IPMS show. We'll see how much further I get on the tank, and we'll talk about that and some of the photo etch I'm sure that I'm doing. But yeah, we'll talk about the show and how it went, and if we'll see if we come away with any awards, and anybody and John can talk about the stuff he's going to win too. I'm sure he's going to do just fine. Anyway, thanks for stopping in, everybody. I appreciate you. Continue doing what you do. Keep building, and excuse me, and love the ones close to you. And because tomorrow they might be gone, and you just never know. So call your mom, call your dad, give them a hug, whatever. Let them know you miss them, because, like I said, you never know when the time comes. You're not gonna have the opportunity. So, all right, you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening. See you next week.